Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's 10/24/2019, and I wanted to come on here today and talk about the California fires and blackouts that are going on right now. There's 500,000 people left without power as hundreds of people are evacuated in areas where fires have broken out. 70-mile-an-hour winds have been reported in some areas of Sonoma County. It has been reported that there are over 1 million people being affected by like rolling blackouts. So they'll put the power off in one area and then they'll turn that back on and then power will go off in some other area. And it just keeps rotating and circulating around in different parts of the state. And all of those areas that are being turned off and on are affecting 1 million people, over 1 million people by the rolling blackouts. And some people that live in the state say that this is a test run to see results that would occur in case the grid goes down due to an EMP blackout of the grid or an EMP blast or solar flare that could take out the grid. And I'm not uncertain that they're not correct, just to see how the people react and respond to, being without the power and what they're going to do. Ezekiel 38 draws nigh to the current Russia-Turkey partnership in Syria is another sign that we are drawing closer to the full fulfillment of the Ezekiel 38 prophecy. And Trump's departure from Syria, that could be another sign. The nations that will come against Israel are Russia, Magog, Turkey, Gomer, Meshech, Tubal, and Togarmah. Persia, which is modern-day Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan, Ethiopia, Somalia, Sudan, and Put, which is modern-day Libya. And in Psalm 83, you have Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, the king of the north, Syria, and the king of the south, Egypt, and all those nations that are going to come against him in a coalition. And Ezekiel 38 can be found in Ezekiel chapter 38, verses 8 through 11. Some believe that this will happen in the first 6 months after the rapture, but I am not certain about that, as I feel that Ezekiel 38, is the beginning of the war, could be what triggers the rapture. And I was warned in May of this year that war was soon coming to Israel when a map began to appear on the screen of my phone every time I turned it on for nearly a 24-hour period. I knew right away when I first saw the map that I was receiving a sign from the Lord. Well, after the 24-hour period ended, and then I prayed about it and asked what the map was really all about, that's when I was warned that, a war would soon be coming to Israel, and to, put up a video about it and tell them about the map that was appearing on the phone and to do a video story about it. And finally, I want to mention the Texas tornado. The tornadoes in Texas the other night, Sunday night, one of them that had touched down and lasted about 32 minutes, caused $2 billion worth of damage on Sunday night. The strongest storm was a EF3 twister that peaked winds of 140 miles an hour, which was on the ground for 32 minutes, and it spanned a 15-mile area. 4 people died also in tornadoes in Arkansas and Oklahoma as well on Sunday, as on Sunday and Monday. And this Texas tornado is going to be the costliest in Texas state history, which will exceed the 1.2 billion loss from a previous December 26, 2015 tornado that struck the eastern Dallas suburbs. The other tornado Sunday night had wind speeds ranging from 80 miles to 135 miles. So as we see, what's happening is, you've had tornadoes, you have earthquakes, you have volcanoes, you've always had all these things, as a lot of people always argue. Every time we report this stuff as being end time signs to, show that we're getting closer and closer to the time of the rapture and the beginning of the time of Jacob's trouble. And you'll always have people argue that, all of this stuff has always been since the beginning of time, and so therefore, it's no big deal. They always try to downplay it. But the point of it is, if you look at charts from the time that they started keeping the records here in recent times, from the very beginning of the time, let's say it was back in the 50s or whatever, to now, you would see from that time that they started keeping records to now, you would just see a continual spike upward, upward, and upward from that time all the way to now. And especially in the last year or two, you'd see a very sharp spike in the number of volcanoes, tornadoes, hurricanes, all of these kinds of earthquakes, everything that's going on, which we are also still seeing elevated earthquake activity too out there in California. And in fact, I saw in a video the other day that there was a fault line there in California, in Southern California, that is normally and has been inactive. And it just hasn't, they haven't never seen any activity along that in modern time or something. But about a week back, that fault line started becoming active. And that's got, the seismologists concerned because it's a first time thing, another unprecedented thing. So it just shows us that we're getting closer and closer to the time of the end. And I would like to mention before I go off, that just about concludes it for today's message, but just keep the ministry in prayer as, the spiritual warfare is continued. However, at this time, it's, greatly diminishing by the day. And so I hope to, get back into a regular pattern of doing videos and stuff here beginning today, and from this day forward hopefully I get back to a normal amount of reporting and stuff, that because there's so much going on, there's so much that the Holy Spirit's already put on me to speak on, and I just due to the things that are going on, and I don't want to really go into detail because I don't think that's going to help anything. But just pray for the ministry, that this stuff will completely stop and I can move forward and do what I was called to do. Thank everybody for tuning in today, and I'll see you real soon.